Welcome to the first one-to-one coaching session. Shu is in the hot seat first. We're going to go through her biggest 5 leaks in her opinion today and review some of her hands and give her some one-to-one coaching. How's it going, Shu?
Wonderful week, up and downs, but it's a good learning session. I think I like to make mistakes so I can learn more.
Love the attitude. That's why I picked you. We have this graph. This is since we started Coaching Journey Season 3, Race to 25NL. You are in the black, as they say. You have a positive win rate now of 1.19 BB per 100. This doesn't mean a great deal, guys. But yeah, I mean, this has been up and down. It's been swingy, but I had a look through your database today, and I have to say about your overall game, it's actually quite good.
I don't think so. Is it really?
You have to remember that the context here is getting out of 10NL to 25NL, working your way up the micro stakes. That's the level you two guys are at. And I think that you're already playing a really strong game. You're obviously like crushing before rake. The rake is high. You've got to crush after rake as well. And let's get you over that milestone. I think it's very possible. I think both of you can become really solid winners in this game. And I'm super stoked for this series. So you said that your 5 biggest leaks before we get into any hands. At number 1, you said bluffing too much, wanting to win every pot. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think just kind of like the sunk cost, like the more money I put in, I just feel like it can withstand my aggression. I can just like go 3-barrel bluff and not a lot of people can can call that. Maybe I just too competitive, always want to win. And the more money I put in there, the more money, I just keep on bluffing and don't want to give up.
Yeah, so there's a healthy side to this and an unhealthy side to this. Like, obviously, if the compulsion to not give up on a bluff and the sunken cost fallacy is driving you to always follow through on every bluff on the river, then clearly we can't be playing good poker in that respect, because there are some spots that are give ups and there are some spots that are follow throughs. And having looked at your database, I think there are a lot of really good bluffs in your database. You're making bluffs that 10NL players just do not make, just straight out don't make. And if you run into the nitty reg side of the pool, which is quite a lot of the regs, you're going to absolutely steamroll them. Like, you're going to do really, really well. And if you run into whales and fish and stuff like that, there are some spots where the fold equity's not enough and the bluff is a bit misguided. But I think overall your aggression is really healthy, and it's more like a spark that we can nurture into a flame than it is like some out of control house fire that we need to put out. I would say that it's mostly good, but we just need to like hone it a little bit. So you describe that as a leak. I actually describe the willingness to bluff as a strength, like the heart to just put in a stack with nothing as a strength. A lot of poker players at 10NL have never bluffed off a stack. You might not believe this, but I know a lot of people I've taught that have never bluffed off a stack. So
that's bad.
It would be really bad if you'd never bluffed off a stack. Yeah, that would mean we were working with like a debilitating fear of getting stacked. And I'd much rather work with someone that was happy to spew here and there rather than someone who was extremely scared about bluffing. So I think there's strengths in that leak as well, but I agree it can be a leak in your game. We'll look at some bluffs today, and I wonder what the audience is going to think of them. You guys can rate these bluffs in the comments section when we get to them. Let you know what you think. Leak number 2, you said losing far too much money with exactly pocket 3s. That's interesting because pocket 3s is the hand of the month at Carrot Corner right now, because this Black Friday we are running 33% off all courses, and we're encouraging you at home to get into interesting spots with pocket 3s. Wait, you didn't write that. How did that get on my... Okay, no, what you actually wrote was not able to fold river in underbluffed lines. How did last week's session help with that? How are you finding folding river now?
I'm definitely more aware, because before the last coaching, I didn't aware that at all. And then since we talk about it, I started looking, is that underbluff or overbluff? Is that like goes for my range or their range? And I starting to folding a lot more. Before I call a lot. Maybe not some like big spots, but small spot also count.
Mhm.
Before I just like to call, but now like, oh, I recognize it and I fold a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good fold. Yeah. Before I just don't have this awareness. I just feel like, oh, I have something I call, but I didn't realize it's under bluff or over bluff.
And this is the first thing that you need to do to go from break even or losing to beating a micro stakes or low stakes high rake game. You just have to be folding in spots where people are just really not bluffing. And I'm seeing that now, because what we're doing for the audience's benefit is that we have a Discord chat with me and Shu and Jurgen and the editor. The editor just sort of lurks in the background ominously and never speaks. Editor, explain remind yourself, we've been giving homework weekly, and it's been on the topic of where we've had group calls. We've always had a technical topic. If you guys haven't seen it, go back and watch it. We started off with fast play, slow play dichotomies. We moved on to bluff catching river frameworks, and last week both Shu and Jurgen posted a bunch of hands where they screwed up, but they should have folded, and some hands where they did fold. And I was super impressed with a couple of the folds you made. So I can see that you've unlocked that ability to find a fold in an underbluffed world and actually execute it and feel good about it, and do take pride in those folds. You've also said that you fold the river too much in a 3-bet pot. Are you sure that you fold the river too much in 3-bet pots?
I think so. There's a lot of spots, and yeah, I actually have a pretty good hand, or okay, maybe that's a bluff catcher, but I just folded because I'm kind of like 3-bet pot. I'm just like kind of like unsure. The pot's getting bigger. I just like kind of like all the theory, like when single raise pot is kind of easy, but when the pots get bigger and then the pot size and also bet side is bigger, I just like, kind of like lost it. I don't know what to do.
So I think you're erring on the right side of not knowing what to do there. If you do freeze up a little bit in 3-bet pots, when you're facing a lot of aggression in a 3-bet pot at 10 and L, most lines are going to be underbluffed because they've had to 3-bet in the first place. It's less natural. There's less air landing on the river, like we talked about. There's less air landing there. It's less natural for people to barrel off with the air because, remember, don't project you onto the opponents. You're kind of like this fearless, bluff happy villain. Like, you're a nightmare to play against, and I'm glad I don't have to play against you. Most people that play 10 and L, I would just be very happy playing against them because they're just never going to put me in tough spots. So when you feel lost on the river and you revert to folding by default, that's the right default. But yeah, let's work on getting more comfortable and just work on 3-bet pots in general. I don't think your leak is that you fold too much. I think your leak is just you're understudied in 3-bet pots, and we need to do a bit of we'll do a 1-to-1 on 3-bet pots specifically in our next 1-to-1, I think, and just work on those for you.
Yeah, 3-bet pot is definitely my weakest. I feel like I just don't feel comfortable in a big pot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've also said not getting enough value on river, afraid to get river raised.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that sometimes that can jump out as a really relevant part of the tree, even though it doesn't happen very often. It's like a narrow branch of the tree. It feels gross when it does happen, and so our lizard brain prioritizes it as a threat. That's very, very true. That can happen. We'll work on it. And number 5, calling too much on the turn instead of going all in on dynamic boards when you face aggression. I agree. You do not fast play the turn enough. I absolutely agree. Very insightful, very astute observation from you. When a student comes up with like one of their biggest leaks without even being prompted, and it's a really specific one like that, I'm very happy to hear that because it means it's on your radar and we can fix it. All right, what do you say we have a look at some hands?
Yes.
Oh, right. Hand number 1, we have king queen, and we face a 3x from under the gun. That's already a bit of a flag that might be a recreational player. We go for a big 3-bet. I think you can go either way here. I'm a definite fan of 3-betting king queen suited pure in any later position against a recreational. I think against 3x from under the gun, I don't mind call just because this range will be so much stronger. We go to a flop of 3-3-8 and villain bets half pot, and we decide to call here. So this is a really interesting spot. I'd love to hear your thought process on the flop here.
Actually, I started to use GTO Wizard to train the 3-bet pot because of my weakest. And a lot of this kind of king queen hand is like, I don't have anything. I just have like two overcards. But there is a 1 diamond and I'm out of position. So I can just easily like check call and see the turn.
Okay,
Yeah.
so being out of position isn't really an argument for check calling at all. That's just a random fact about the hand. And one thing I've noticed about your game is that sometimes you just have thoughts that are completely irrelevant.
Maybe I should just bet it because I have a diamond there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think c-betting the flop is the most natural way to go. And I think you can also go for a check raise bluff here against third pot. When you're called by under the gun and they half pot, I do think the range is getting a little bit stronger, but I would still expect it to be, containing some random air. I think overall, check call is the line I'm least drawn to here. And my plan if I checked would be to check raise a smaller bet. I don't know about like facing the sizing. I don't think check call's amazing here. It's probably okay, but one issue with the tight range 3-bet pots is that there's going to be less combos that you dominate in villain's range for the most part, and there's going to be more like ace king off, for example, and ace queen suited will be like a more dense part of villain's range in early position. So your outs, and this goes for when you're the pre-flop 3-better or the pre-flop caller in a 3-bet pot, your pair outs are always better in late position spots. So you're always going to be happier calling bets on flop in late configurations with overcards like this. I don't think check call's a disaster here by any means, by the way, but I'm not really drawn to it as a line. Pool is understabbing a bit in 3-bet pots, especially tight configuration 3-bet pots, which just means that check call and check raise maybe underperform a little bit. I'd go with bet as your default with these sort of premium bluffing hands on the flop, because it's not like a wide range single raise pot where they're overstabbing. I think if you play this like cut off button single raise pot or blind versus blind, check raise is great, check call is great. I think in the tighter configuration, I just go with bet and go from there.
Like B50 or?
Yep. So 338 is a board where you have a big nut advantage, right? You're building around your overpairs. The bigger sizing is going to be the one to go for in these low 3-bet pot textures.
And then shut down on the turn if I B50 on the flop.
Depends on the turn, not necessarily. Lots
Like
of
this turn.
This turn is pretty bad for your hand. So here you kind of have the nut worst bluffing hand because you block diamonds, and those are like the floats from flop, like ace queen of diamonds or something. So if you'd bet the flop and villain had called, this would be a good hand to shut down with. As played, you check, villain checks back, and you reach the 7 of diamonds river. Does this feel like a mandatory bluff spot, B, an optional bluff spot using Carrot Poker School terminology here, or C, a prohibited bluff spot? Mandatory, optional, or prohibited? What do you think?
Mandatory.
I agree. Well done. Explain that for the audience. Why is this a mandatory bluff spot?
I think I'm pretty low on my range, and he showed weakness by checking. He couldn't have like really good hands. Otherwise, he would just bet himself on the turn. And I'm low on my range, and I don't have any showdown value. So that's my argument.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you might have some showdown value actually, because villain could stab the flop with queen jack, jack 10, 10 9, and just not bluff river. Like I do think you actually have some showdown value, but that doesn't mean you should check, because when you are at the absolute bottom of your range and you have a range advantage, there's a theorem from the Carrot Poker School that applies. I've not prepared this. Let's see if Shu can tell us the name of the theorem, and it's called
River blunder theory?
Yes. God, we are nailing this today. I didn't know if you would know that, but yeah, it is called river blunder theory. So you've been studying Carrot Poker School stuff. River blunder theory applies when the following things are true. We have a range advantage. We're in a favorable world. We have a low down hand in our range, and those things give us excess fold equity. Favorable world equals excess fold equity. Therefore, even with a little bit of showdown value, we're still going to be bluffing. I like bluffing here. Let's think about sizing though. What do we think the opponent's range looks like in this spot? And let's get a little bit exploitative. What sizing do we want to go for?
One pair hand.
Such as?
Ace king, like.
What does villain usually have? What kind of hand is like very typical for villain to have here?
Ace high.
And what else is another class of hand that's very typical here as well?
Like, maybe over pair or under pair, like pocket 6.
Yeah. Yep, those are the main hands, like 4s, 6s, 9s, 10s, jacks. Jack's a bit less likely when they check turn, but they can get freaked out with the heart. And then things like ace high. So villain's range is very condensed and very capped looking for the most part. And your value range here is flushes and big overpairs. And you decide to go all in. And I love this. I think this is great. I think you'll be running into a flush or boat here almost never. And you will be running into like a hand that beats you but is very uncomfortable here most of the time. If this was the other way around and they were the pre-flop raiser, they would then have a more polarized range, right? If you were the pre-flop caller, and then they might just have big overpairs and then ace high, then you'd want to go smaller. But because the pre-flop caller can have these merged hands like 6s, 4s, 9s, ace 8, whatever it may be, going for the big sizing here is really good. I think this is a lovely bluff by you. I'd like just piling on the pressure when villain is condensed and capped. I want to start off by showing you a spot that I absolutely love bluffing and where it's mandatory to bluff and where you've gone nice and big with a hand that can just do this. And yeah, this is great. Don't worry, by the way, guys, about having a heart here. You'll have some one heart combos, but many of those will have more showdown value, like ace king with a heart. You could still bluff that, but you can bluff hands without a heart here. I don't think in real life the heart's all that important anyway. We do get called. This one doesn't work out. He has jacks with a heart, which is a pretty damn good bluff catcher and maybe a hand that people won't fold, but don't worry about that. You know, you run into the top of their range, you run into like the best catcher that they have, they call you. That doesn't make your bluff bad. Love this hand. I think this hand's fine. I do think flop's a little bit like not quite accurate, not the right choice of line, but on river, that's the main thing. We execute a good bluff here. Ace 3, open the button, men get called by big blind. Love opening this hand against recreational. You should open a lot of hands here that aren't quite opens in theory, so this is good. On the flop,
I saw ace 3 is so open.
It's close. Yeah, it's technically ace deuce and ace 3 are the ones that technically aren't, but it's not really a binary thing like open, not open. It's more about EV, and the EV of opening this hand is very close, and therefore against the recreational, we should open it. Okay, so we check back on the flop here, which I don't mind. I think you can go either way with this hand. Did you have a preference? I just want to hear how you think about the flop. Like, why check here? Is it just mixing or?
Yeah, I think it's a mix. I mean, I could maybe bet small, bet range because I have the backdoor flush, backdoor straight, or maybe even bet bigger, like B75. And yeah, I checked here because first I only have ace high, and second I can barrel like or bluff later, and maybe it's a high card or like
Yeah, so again, your
yeah.
thought process is wandering into like too specific, not really relevant stuff here. So I'm going to bring it back. You just have a straight mix on the flop. Like you have a hand without that much showdown value with some redraw. You can just bet or you can check. What you need to know though is whether you're playing a big bet or a small bet on a board like this. So I'd like you to go away for homework, map out where you want to use small bets. That doesn't mean you have to bet range, by the way, but you could, I guess. That's not a range bet board in theory, but you'll get away with it. And then where you're going to use bigger sizes and then have a plan. If you are mixing, this hand can definitely bet. It is not the middle of your range. It's not like if you're playing a big bet strategy, pocket sevens, no club, for example, is a pure check, right? But ace three with the three of clubs is absolutely a hand that you can be bluffing with. You do not need equity on this flop to be bluffing. You can be bluffing king nine of spades. You can be bluffing queen four of diamonds. You can be bluffing ace three with a club. If you are playing a big bet or check strategy, learn the low EV bluffs. Make sure you're making them. Make sure you're not waiting for a draw to bluff the flop. That's a big leak and it's not the right way to start out when you're playing a big bet strategy.
What would you do on this flop?
Don't care. Check and bet are both totally fine. I don't think there's a huge EV swing. If I don't know the opponent, I have a slight preference at these stakes to just small betting a hand with low equity because they just handle that so badly. Now I hear people recommend to students simplifications. They're like, just range bet because it's easy for you and it makes your life simple. And it's like, what the hell, man? You're trying to beat this game. You're trying to have a big win rate. Why are you not trying to maximize EV? So like you want to more than that. Small bet bad hands against recreational players because they overfold and under raise. And that's good specifically for a bad hand. But when you have kings here, you shouldn't bet 1/3 because they're not raising enough and they're overfolding. You should just bet bigger and get more money in against their draws and jack X and hands that aren't going to raise you enough. So my recommendation to you theoretically is play either small or big bet here and bet this hand often. But exploitatively, my recommendation is just B33 a hand like this and bet big with kings, and that's going to get you out of 10 NL faster. Make sense?
Okay, especially the fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And even regs to some extent, but mostly this is an exploit roadmap for playing against fish. So 6 of hearts comes in the turn. Villain bets big. What's your thought process here?
I forgot what I did. Okay, 6 is more hitting the villain than me, but I don't have any showdown value, and then he suddenly bet into me, so I haven't bet anything on the flop, so I just raise. Maybe they're just probing, because I
Editor,
didn't bet.
insert a train crashing into a wall.
I mean, I could have a 6. Right?
So slow down. You're giving me reasons for raising, but they are not sufficient reasons for raising, right? The problem is that if you don't know the theory of this spot, you are miles and miles away from being able to estimate the EV of raise. Let's start by thinking about the EV of raise in theory with this hand. So when villain bets big, this plummets you into a very unfavorable world. Yes, they could be stabbing with nothing. Some people do that too often, but big turn probes are generally a lot stronger than small turn probes at 10 NL, 25 NL, even 50 and 100 NL, right? So you're in an unfavorable world here. When you're in an unfavorable world, we know from our Carrot Poker School learning that there are standards that now apply to bluffing. Equity standards. The clubs, sorry, you don't have the ace of clubs, you have the 3 of clubs. And I know it's 3-3 month at Carrot Corner, and there's 33% off coming on Black Friday, but I don't think the 3 of clubs is enough here in this unfavorable world. It's not even an out. The ace of hearts is a good card to have, sure, but you just don't really have any immediate equity here. You don't even have 2 overcards to the jack, which is villain's most common made hand to bet call. The theoretical requirements in unfavorable spots are high, and therefore you just need more to raise this turn. Now you could say villain might just be overdoing it and therefore I can raise. I don't think that's just suddenly true. Even if they're overdoing it a little bit, because it would be so losing to raise this hand at equilibrium, it's still going to be a bad idea to raise in real life, even if they're slightly overdoing the turn probe. They would need to be wildly overdoing the turn probe for raise to be right here, and even then I might actually just call if that was the case, because I do have ace high, but I think this is just a clear fold on the turn. Okay,
What happened?
So
You called?
before we get to that, are you clear on the difference between mandatory and optional bluffs in more favorable worlds where you don't need like high equity requirements, and then unfavorable worlds like facing big bets and like higher standards of playing? You okay with that?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Wow. Well, now we can't really shut it down. We've just got the Heart River. We've got the Ace of Hearts. Like, I feel like we have to go for this.
That's my plan.
No. You can't plan for a Heart River because you're not some goddess that controls the river card. You're not like, I'm going to place the Deuce of Hearts on the river and then I'm going to shove. Now, come on. Now you're on a tiny little branch of the tree, right?
Yeah, but because I raised and now it's like I blocked the 3-4. No, 3.
I agree. This is the bluff now, but the turn is where I have an issue.
Yeah.
Right. The river's good. I agree with going for this now for sure. I like the all in, but the problem here is on the turn, not the river. Don't worry about the showdown. The showdown means nothing. Like, you could have had Jack 10 unfolded, right? You could have had 7-8 unfolded. Could have had King Queen of Clubs unfolded. The river is good. I love the river play. The turn play is like just out of line, and it's just a misappropriation of like what needs to be true for you to bluff. It's not sufficient for you to have no showdown value, can rep a 6, and villain might be bluffing. Those three things are not sufficient for you to bluff raise the turn, even though they're true.
I mean, he should fold, right? Well, I thought I have the blocker of Ace of Hearts, so I just shove river. I just think maybe he will fold if he doesn't have like at least a king or queen of hearts. I didn't think he will call me, but yeah.
So forget villain's hand. You're being too results oriented here. Like, we just saw the 9-7 of hearts. Like, you shouldn't expect the 10NL population to fold this hand. The reason your river play is good, and it is good, is that villain has a lot of like just a jack in his range, or busted clubs, or 7-8, or something like that. You're not really trying to make someone fold 9-7 of hearts. They generally won't. You could make an argument that like they should fold 9-7 of hearts here, but they're 10NL players. So again, don't project the mentality of someone capable of seeing this flush as a bluff catcher onto the pool. They're not going to fold this very often, but there are weaker hands that they will fold. Love the river, hate the turn. Hopefully that's useful.
Yeah, it's a fish. He will not fold, of course.
Well, a lot of people that aren't fish are still very bad at folding flushes. It's just 10NL players, regs included too. Okay, Queen 10 of clubs in his hand. We call min open out of the big blind. Flop is Ace King 8, and we go for a call. We're going to stick with the theme of your bluffing adventures here. Queen on the turn, and it goes check check, which seems good. You check the river for showdown value, and then you turn the hand into a giant check raise. And I actually quite like the spirit of this play, because here you have showdown value.
Yeah.
And then here you don't have as much, and it's not clear that you should call, or it's not clear that call is winning. It's probably not. But you have a blocker to Jack 10 and some 2-pair combos, and villain just has a lot of 1-pair, top pair sort of thing, and you go for this raise. I would say you probably don't have to go this big. Depends on the opponent. Like, if you want to make villain fold 2-pair, this is a good sizing. But because you're playing 10NL, it can be a bit of a dangerous game to try and make them fold 2-pair. So you may want to take a sizing that's just a bit more like, I'm trying to get them off of the weaker hands, like the King Queen maybe, or the Ace Jack, or the Ace 10, or something like that. So I would say you maybe don't need to go this big, but if you are against a good reg or something, that sizing is great. And even bigger could be great, because you're just saying you have Jack 10. So in theory, this size is great, because you're saying I have Jack 10, you have to fold 2-pair, you have to fold a set at some frequency. In practice, you might want to make it a bit smaller, and people might be a bit less elastic here. But yeah, I love this play. I love the idea. I think this is a solid thing to do.
I experimenting the smaller sizing, like maybe like 35 or 29 or 35 or something. They don't fold. I need to go big and make them believe me.
Yeah, I think 29 is too big. It's too small. Sorry, I was just thinking something like if you go 45, it's probably about the sweet spot, because it still looks really big to them. It looks like 5x, right, from their point of view, and you're kind of saving a bit of money. That said, 51 is quite economical because you go over 50. I'm just saying there's going to be a point where like the fish in the pool don't fold like a certain hand to any size here, like their Ace King or their set or whatever. So just something to be aware of. But I love this play. I'm giving this hand like 9 out of 10. I think it's really good.
Okay.
Run into Ace King. Don't want to talk about the result. Don't want you caring about it. Let's move on. We're trying to learn the difference today between your good bluffs and your bad bluffs, right? That's what we're ironing out here.
Yeah, I'm too result oriented sometimes. Like, oh, I like bluff and they called me. Okay, next time I just don't want to bluff anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know, just kind of affected. Yeah.
I know you're a bit like a cat with a shiny bit of paper when it comes to results, because like your eyes are lighting up. You're like, oh, he had that. Like, oh, would they have folded? And it's like, no, we're just playing against the range. We're playing the long term game. We need to nip that in the bud and just go next hand. Like, next hand, that hand's in the past. You've got another 3 decisions to make. You're streaming, whatever. Get back to the present moment. Don't think about it. Sevens, 3-way pot. Check, check, c-bet. The c-bet is a bit dicey, to be honest. You don't have the 7 of hearts, you're three-way, your hand's fairly bad, like your nut potential's low. I think I prefer check in this climate with this hand. Like if you had ace 8 with the ace of hearts, like okay, c-bet's great. There's like loads of turns you're gonna like, your showdown value's lower, check is lower EV. I think when you have like the dead hand with showdown value, three-way, you should just be checking. So we're working on your c-bet game a bit here today. But now, of course, it's time to turn the 7s into a bluff, right?
What did I do? Okay.
What do you think of this now when you look at this?
Is that me?
Definitely you.
Well, what did he do? I'm curious.
I don't care. I don't want you thinking about that. That's not relevant. We're analysing your play from point of decision. What do you think of your play and why?
Well, I mean, okay, wait, is there straight available? Like, I kind of have a thing, like, if there's no straight, no flush complete on the turn, I just like bet again. Maybe it's like, maybe has like, I don't know, king 3, or just like, oh, maybe just fold, or a jack, maybe just fold. It's still, I mean, I can still have all the nuts, right? I have pocket kings, I can have pocket jacks. You will never have those things.
These aren't licenses to bluff. They are things that help, but they're not enough in and of themselves. So when you're on the turn here, you're right that this is a favorable turn world where you can bluff a lot. And if you had a hand with less showdown value, you can definitely bluff. My main gripe with 7s is just that it's too good as a check. Like you're beating every draw, you're beating a 5, you're just showing down for too much of the pot. Like check is worth too much here. If I had like a toy game where you had to either fold or bet, probably you should bet, right? Like I don't think it's minus EV to bet. It's better than folding, but you're not comparing betting with folding. You need to get to some theoretical baseline here where check is your default button with a medium strength hand on the turn. It just has to be. It can't be bluff that's the default button with 7s because check is worth too much. And yes, they might fold a jack. They equally might not. They might fold a king. That's very unlikely. They're probably not going to. You can have kings and jacks and they can't. So what? That doesn't mean that bet's better than check with 7s.
Yeah. I mean, I played wrong on the flop already, so I should have checked.
Yeah, that's a different thing, right? You've made 2 mistakes here, yes, but they're separate nodes. They're not that related. Honestly, I want you to see them as separate things. And when you make that bet, I don't care what he does. I don't care if he folds, calls, or raises. It's a bad bet. Right, so that's how we're analysing this. This is a good card for your range, right? Like you get there with 6, 7, queen 10, like straights get there. That said, he might have queen 10 himself, but I think this is a spot where I don't hate bluffing, but the problem is, again, you still have some showdown value here. Like villain might have ace 10 of hearts, you know, stuff like this. So 7 specifically, still a check in theory, I think, but this is a better bluff spot than the turn. And you know what? I have some sympathy for this play. I do. I think it's your turn aggression and your turn play in general that is like pretty bad and out of line sometimes. And I think your river play in general is pretty good and actually like compensates for that a lot of the time.
What have you called me? No.
Sure.
Forgot.
We don't care what happened. I'm not even going to show you.
Yeah, show me. I'm so curious.
No, we need to treat this urge to know what happens at showdown. And this is your fault, by the way, Shu. The viewers are not going to see what happened to this hand now because I have to coach your obsession with showdowns. So the viewers are never going to know what happened.
Shit.
Yeah.
I need to look it up myself.
Yep. Okay, fine.
Show. Ah! Wow. If it's not a 9, he would never call. Never, ever.
Don't care. It's just one hand in his range. Rivers may be defensible, but dicey. Turn is bad. Flop's a small mistake. Get away from these showdowns. Like, this is actually a very dangerous thing.
You should have folded the turn.
But again, you're playing against 10 and L players. They might not fold a jack on the turn. That's why it's not a sufficient argument to say, I'm repping all this good stuff, he might fold a jack. Like, he equally might not. So start from a theory baseline. How bad is it in theory to bluff 7s on the turn? It's really quite bad, I think. Therefore, even if it's a bit overfolded, it's not going to be enough, right? So you're sort of comparing the theory to how overfolded it is, how good the bluff's going to be. Right, ace king, let's fly through this one. We 3-bet here, ace 10 7. We c-bet small, we check turn, this is hijack against small blind, and we get this 4-liner straight run out. So I don't hate the way you've played it on flop and turn. I think I would probably prefer betting turn, and the reason is I think it's a fast play spot because villain has a very mergy range here. They have ace jack, pair plus draw, ace 9 suited, pair plus draw, 10 9, pair plus draw, pocket 9s, pair plus draw, diamond diamonds, combo draw. They're very mergy here. I think you just fast play your hand. I think you just bet again. I think you slow played the turn a bit too much. Let's fix this week, right? That makes sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And then on river, we missed that turn bit, and maybe now you're feeling like you've got to compensate for it, right? So again, your somewhat inaccurate turn play is making you feel like you've got to compensate on river, and a lot of stuff just got there. Any 9 is now a straight, and villain does have a bunch of 9 here. 10, 9, pocket 9s, 8, 9, 6 has got there. What's your hand worth? What kind of value bet can you make here, if any?
I mean, I could get called by like ace queen, ace jack, and that's it.
So what sizing is right if you're going to value bet?
Like B33?
Yep. Or B10.
Block bet?
Yep. Some form of small bet, right? Like if you think that you've got enough equity to pull off a small bet for value, like you're a slight favorite when called if you B33. Is that fair? Like you B33, they call or they continue, you're maybe like a slight favorite, like you're doing fine. Then that's the line. This is a polarization error. Too big.
Okay.
Right. And I think you do this sometimes.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I feel like I didn't bet the turn. So, I mean, I could have a bluff too because I didn't bet the turn, right? It's kind of polar. Like, do I have ace? Maybe I get caught by, I don't know, pocket jacks and queens, kings.
So I need you to stop thinking so much about what you're representing or what you could have or what they could think you could have. And I want you to get to basics. What's your equity? It's medium. It's not enough to go for a bigger bet, so don't go for a bigger bet. None of these other thoughts matter. If you lose this challenge, Shu, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, it's going to be because of the rogue thoughts in your thought process that are basically just taking you away from the theory that you know how to do. You know how to do theory. You're a good poker player in that sense. You can say, I've got this much equity, this is block bet, and then you have these older thoughts that are like causing you to make errors, basically. And we need to eliminate the thoughts to summarize today's session, right? So we're going to bring this to a close in a minute. The things I want you to do more of are the theoretical things. I'm value betting, what's my equity? I'm bluffing, am I in the middle or do I have a polar hand? Like to be bluffing, you want to have a bit of a lack of showdown value. Or I'm bluffing, am I in a favorable or unfavorable world? If it's a really unfavorable world, like facing that big turn probe, then you're going to need to have more standards than that. Contrast that to the king queen of diamonds hand. This is a favorable world. Villains checked back the turn. You can bluff here. Contrast that to the pocket sevens hand. This is too middling. This is too much showdown value. Know the theory of bluffing. Where is it good? Where is it bad? And then feel free to go a bit crazy if it's a theoretically decent spot to bluff and you think villain is overfolding. I love those bluffs. I think you do a great job of those, but we've got to put the train back on the tracks a little bit. And I do think that sometimes when we're value betting, like in this ace king hand, we are doing things for reasons that aren't that relevant to EV. We're thinking about what they might think we have. They could bluff catch us with worse. We missed the opportunity to bet the turn. None of this matters. All that matters is what's your equity on the river and what's the corresponding sizing for it. Yeah.
Understand. Yeah.
How's today's coaching left you feeling? How was the first 1-to-1 session for you?
I love it. I thought I'm the only one gonna get picked and there's only one student and I have you all by myself, you know, like I like this more. I don't know.
You do get more value out of a 1-to-1 for sure. And we will be doing those. We'll also be doing some group calls as well, but I'm going to mix in more 1-to-1s. I think you're both going to get a lot of value out of them. How are you rating your chances in the race to 25 and L? Do you still think you're an underdog or do you think you're a favorite now?
I definitely think I'm underdog. I don't know. I mean, you can see better, but I think he's better than me.
I think
look at his chart. He played like 100,000 hands and he's winning like really. I mean, that's a big sample.
I think Jurgen has played poker a lot longer than you. Like he used to play tournaments back in the day and stuff. He's been around the block poker wise a lot more. He has more experience. He has a better feel that comes from experience. But you're a very quick learner, you have a lot of heart, and you have a very keen instinct about where bluffing is good, like a very, very good instinct for where there's fold equity on the river. I think it's a very powerful tool. And I see you as like this unrefined, raw gem that we can definitely turn into something really good. And I'm not sure which way this is going to go. Yes, Jurgen has more experience, but what if, you're going to suddenly make like a huge amount of progress and just accelerate? That's what I think could happen. So I think this is going to be a really interesting series. Any closing thoughts, Shu?
I'm looking forward to see it. But also, well, one thing is like, because the title is raised to 25, right? So what will be the requirement if we made it or not?
Yeah, this is driving people crazy in the comments. They're like, what does it mean to race to 25 and L? Essentially, it's this, and I'll say this at the start of the next video as well. What we're looking for is to compare two big samples, your big sample with Jurgen's big sample since the series started. And we're going to try to get, like, obviously hundreds of thousands of hands. And hopefully one of you will be beating the game, like, decently. What does that mean exactly? Well, we're looking for like a 2 plus BB per 100 win rate, at least, but hopefully 3 or 4 over a big sample. And whoever has the highest win rate, if both of you are winning, will win the race to 25NL at the end of the series. And if none of you are winning at that game, nobody wins the race to 25NL. It's just a complete failure, and I'll just resign from coaching in YouTube.
But who you compared it to? To the NL25 player?
Just to each other. Like, whoever's got the biggest win rate of you and Jurgen at 10NL is going to win, but one of you has to be winning in the game at the end of the series. It can't be like 2 losing graphs, basically.
Just winning, you mean? But how many, like, BB per 100 hands?
At least, I think we're aiming for at least 2, but whoever has the highest win rate is going to win the series. Is going to win this competition. Okay.
So 2 is enough to play NL25?
It's enough to shot take, absolutely. And to, like, if you're winning at 2 at 10NL, you're probably at least break even at 25. And so I'm a big fan of, like, moving up and testing yourself sooner rather than later.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Let's wrap up your one-to-one now. Final notes.
Okay.
Get back to theory basics. Get rid of thoughts about what villain might think that you have. It's not sufficient to bluff just because you could have a scary hand. Analyze your showdown value. Make sure it's low enough to bluff. And make sure the world favorability plus your hand's equity is enough. No problem with you bluffing a lot of these river spots. They're good. No problem with you bluffing favorable turn spots, flop spots. Try not to lose your mind in spots that are bad for your range with hands that are awful. We'll see you next time on Coaching Journeys, Season 3, Race to 25 and up.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach.
You have to wave to the audience at this point.